The train hissed as it slowed, steam clouding the frosted air of a small frontier station. The snow crunched beneath hurried boots, and strangers stepped down, each reuniting with waiting families or beginning journeys unknown. Among them stood a young woman with trembling hands clutching a worn satchel to her chest. Her dress was thin for the biting winter, her face pale but determined, and her eyes scanning desperately for the man she believed would be her husband. She had traveled across states with only a letter in her pocket and hope in her heart. But when the train pulled away, leaving her standing alone, confusion struck like lightning. No one had come for her. She had stepped off at the wrong station. Before fear could take her, a small voice pierced the silence. A little girl in patched clothes stood at the edge of the platform, her mittened hand pointing toward her father. Her eyes were wide with innocent certainty, and her voice quivered with joy as she whispered, "Papa, God finally answered us." The widowed rancher, tall, broad-shouldered, and weary from years of loneliness, looked at the girl and then at the stranger. Their gazes locked, as if fate had reached across miles and mistakes to weave a new story right there in the snow. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the way love finds us when we least expect it, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. These stories are created to bring warmth and hope to your heart. The rancher had not been expecting anyone, much less a bride arriving by train. His days had been swallowed by the toil of keeping his ranch alive and raising his daughter after his wife passed away. His heart had hardened, not by choice but by necessity. Yet now, staring at this lost young woman with eyes that held both fear and resilience, he felt a stirring he thought long buried. She was a stranger, misplaced by fate, but his daughter's words clung to the icy air like a prayer already answered. The young woman's journey had not been easy. She had answered an ad for a mail-order bride, believing marriage was her last chance to escape a life of poverty and scorn. She had been mocked for dreaming of a fresh start, for daring to hope someone might see her as more than a burden. The wrong station felt like another cruel trick of destiny. But the little girl's voice, filled with unshakable faith, melted her fear. For the first time since stepping off the train, she felt she was exactly where she was meant to be. That evening, the rancher brought her to his home, a humble cabin tucked against the winter hills. The walls were weathered, but the hearth glowed warmly. She sat quietly, her satchel at her feet, while the girl clung to her as if she had known her all her life. The rancher studied her in silence, torn between caution and gratitude. He had prayed silently for strength, not companionship, yet here was a woman with gentle hands and tired eyes, already fitting into the silence of his home like she belonged. The days that followed tested them both. She was unused to ranch work. Her hands blistered, her back sore, but she pressed on, refusing to be seen as weak. He was hesitant to let her into his world, his grief still a shadow between them. Yet the little girl, innocent and hopeful, bridged the distance. She drew them together with simple gestures, asking her new friend to braid her hair, insisting her father sit at the table with them, whispering prayers of thanks each night before sleep. Slowly, laughter returned to the cabin, faint at first, but real. The rancher found himself watching her when she wasn't looking. The way she hummed softly while washing dishes, the way she comforted his daughter with patience, the way her strength grew with each passing day. She was not the bride she had meant to become, nor the wife he had expected. But she was becoming something far greater, proof that love, when it arrives, is rarely by design, but always by divine timing. Winter raged on, and with it came hardships. A storm cut them off from town for weeks, supplies dwindled, and sickness brushed close. Yet through it all they held together. She refused to let despair win, caring for the child with a mother's devotion, standing beside the rancher as if they had weathered years together. And in the darkest night of the storm, when the wind howled against the walls, the rancher finally spoke aloud what his heart had long whispered. She was not an accident at the wrong station. She was his answered prayer, too. The little girl's innocent words at the platform had come true. God had answered, not in the way either of them had planned, but in the way that only love and faith could arrange. A misplaced step, a wrong stop, had led to the beginning of a family that would endure. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to The Gentle Truth. Comment below and tell us, do you believe that sometimes fate uses the smallest mistakes to guide us to the greatest blessings?